first welcome everyone and commend you all for being proactive in your job search and for taking the steps that you needed to be here today. I know how challenging career transition can be, whether you have been recently laid off or you're still working and you just know that it's time to make a change. Or maybe you made the decision yourself to make the change and now you're faced with the challenge of which career path to take and which direction to make. So regardless of what phase you're at in career transition, it's very likely that resources are either starting to get limited and or you're feeling overwhelmed with all of these career workshops and seminars for the jobless and everything that they have out there right now. Or maybe you're feeling frozen with the decision on which new path to take and which direction to make. So regardless of what phase that you are currently in right now, it definitely is time for all of us to realize our passion. And it's an opportunity to focus on what it is that we or you truly want and then to go for it. So this will involve taking some risk and some pretty big risks, and being fully committed to your job search every day, day in and day out, and being okay with the uncertainty that you're facing right now, and just knowing that you don't know your final outcome, but as long as you commit to it, in the right direction, that you're going to be able to move forward out of this transition. And it probably will be out of your comfort zone, as it is for most people, all of this risk and uncertainty, but if you commit to your actions to this goal of really figuring out what it is you want to do and what you're here to be doing, you will begin your momentum of career transition and getting into your next phase. So I personally was at a stage and feeling that I had a goal that I wasn't truly living, and so I was living in Vancouver, Canada, and I was working in media sales. And although I was making, a really great income, I just knew that there was more to what I was here for and what I could be committing my energy to. So I wanted to move to New York and, the media mecca of the world, and to build my network and to meet new contacts and continue my growth. So I quit my job and I moved here, and I very much committed to my goal. And so I made a list of companies, just like Oprah Winfrey says, I made my list of all the top companies I wanted to work with. And I created a personal brand, and a personal brand unique to me. And I figured out, what makes me stand out and what's going to get somebody to meet with me face to face and be open to introducing me to their contacts. So I created a very clear, distinctive brand on who I am, and I went to market, just as you do in business, and you bring a new product to market. That's exactly what I did. My market happened to be in another country, but what I did was I created this brand, and I went out and I committed myself to it. And if I didn't, thankfully my background is in marketing, but for those whose background isn't in marketing or in sales, I suggest really seeking, help from somebody to create that brand and uncover your competencies and get help on how to communicate them best. So my story is that I met with top executives in the industry. I was very consistent with my brand with everybody I met. Everybody, I talked about myself in the same way. I clearly communicated my core competencies. I networked with everybody I met, day in and day out. I built my network to over 150 media contacts in New York City within 3 months. And I was given 6 job offers from every company that was on my list. So this never would have happened unless I had a very, very clear vision for what I wanted, and if I wasn't willing to take risk, and if I wasn't committed to my goal. So we have, this is a time to take a stance in realizing who we are and being able to communicate it to others and be willing to take the action that it takes. And it reminds me of an old story that I heard of this man, in India, and he went to this temple day in and day out, and he had this vision of winning the lottery. He wanted to have this abundance of money. So he would visualize what he would do with this money, he would visualize, who he'd share it with and how he would help people. So every day, month after month, he would go to this temple and say, like, why aren't I winning this lotto? This is my visualization, this is my passion. And then one day, God came up to him and said, you have to first buy the ticket. And that's what it is. So we all here today have to figure out, what is that lotto ticket? What is that ticket that you can buy and that you can commit to purchasing, or if it means getting more education, working with a career coach, whatever that lotto ticket is to you, you got to find it. And then you find it, and you'll be committed, and then you'll be on your path to realizing, your next step in your career growth. So to make it a little bit more tactical, the steps that I wanted to share with you is I work with media professionals in career transition, and I wanted to share with you some of the tips that I use with my clients, many clients that have gone through the program, and how they've been able to step forward in their career transition. So one particular thing is building resilience. And resilience is very, very important during this time. And a way to sort of get resilience, not all of us are, is to build on past breakthroughs, challenges that you may have been faced with, and really take note of, recount the actions that you took and how it felt to succeed. And you can draw on some of the stuff when your confidence may be lacking, or if you're feeling discouraged. Another thing is time management. Just like this man in India going to the temple day in and day out, he wasn't being very effective with his time, and it's just like many of us in transition. We could spend 8-9 hours online on Career Builder and all these different websites feeling like we are being productive in our job search. So the main thing is to focus on what it is that's actually going to be helping me in this transition and finding a job, and limiting the time. So you're better off spending a fixed period of time on your job search every single day rather than working on it here and there all the time. So spending long periods of time on certain tasks really will get you diminishing returns. Another thing is self-evaluation. This is a great time right now for us all to dig deep into who we are and figuring out what our values are, determining values. There's many ways you can do this. There's exploration exercises. Another thing is a peak performance discussion. So going back on a peak performance that you may have had and really analyzing it and going through it and drawing out what your values are from that peak performance, and then starting to bridge that, whatever those values are, and bridge that with your next career path. And another part of self-evaluation is competency identification. So part of your competencies are the skills and the knowledge and the traits that you bring to the table. So when you're meeting with potential employers, you can talk about your competencies. And by doing that, you can link your talents with your direction and being able to clearly communicate them to people. It's a lot more beneficial to say, I am a strong salesperson. It's a lot better to say, I have broken sales records and built business 120% and brought in 20 new clients. So you really need to figure out what that is that you do well. It's going to raise somebody's eyebrow as opposed to just saying, I'm a good salesperson. A positioning statement is so, so important. Tell everybody you meet your positioning statement, whether you run into a friend in a grocery store or you're talking to your accountant. Your positioning statement should give a clear idea of who you are, what you're doing, and where you want to go. And that's another thing. And what makes you special is the key thing in your positioning statement. So I urge everybody to, however you're going to do it, if you need help, get help, because the positioning statement really should be said day in and day out to everybody you meet. Requesting help is another thing. In general, believe it or not, people want to help other people. But first of all, they have to be asked, and they need to know how they can help you. So tell people what you want, and believe it or not, they'll give it to you. Network mapping is another thing, is focusing on your weakest ties. So most of us go to our strongest ties, being our family, our friends, our roommates. Those people aren't typically going to help you find a job. They have a preconceived notion of who you are, of what your brand is, and they have too much emotion attached to you. Start talking to your coach at a gym and there's, or, you know, or a past employer, sister's brother's cousin, you know, because I've read so many articles recently that is going to be, you know, 90% of the time, that's going to be how we all get our next jobs, is through our weakest ties. So build your weak ties. And again, that's just talking to anybody you know, telling them your positioning statement, and giving them something that they can help you with. And then getting a little bit more tactical, of course, resumes, cover letters, everything needs to be crisp, sharp. You know, there's no room for error these days, especially with cover letters and everything. And interactive branding is another thing. We all need to have an online presence these days, everybody. So the biggest thing that I wanted to share about interactive branding is to keep it very consistent with your brand. So however you create your brand and who it is, how you communicate yourself, keep it consistent with Twitter, with LinkedIn, with Facebook. If you want to be a professional person and present yourself in a professional way to potential employers, then be sure to keep your Facebook picture looking professional, and be sure to keep all of your LinkedIn updates and everything, you know, very consistent with whatever brand it is that you want to go to market with. Okay, and so the career transition program that, you know, I work with, it's a 6-week program, and you're meeting one-on-one with a coach. Every week you're getting ongoing coaching and support along the way. But whether you decide to go with a coach, or if you decide to, you know, go back to school, whatever it is, I guess what I want to encourage everybody is to be excited about this next chapter, because, you know, and encourage you to be excited about it, because it's an opportunity for you to step into, you know, who you are, what it is you really want to be doing, and to really differentiate yourself in the market before you step out into it. So, thank you.